Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Come here, baby. Look at here, you getting distracted again. Hello, somebody, man. Come on now. You got dreams to chase. You got goals to accomplish. You got some stuff that you got to do. You got some shadow work to be working, baby. I understand that, baby, honey. We got things to do, not no people to impress. Stay focused. That's right. Yeah. We don't care what they thinking, what they feeling, what they talking about. It ain't about impressing them. It ain't about showing out for them. This right here, this personal. Your comeback personal. Your healing personal. Your growth is personal. You got to stay focused. You cannot afford to get distracted. Come on now. Get on back in alignment, baby.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning to all my coffee clubbers. It is Thursday. Holy smokes. Like tomorrow is like TGIF. Like this week is gone. Where is it? It's gone. All right. The week done. Are we prepared? Right? Lots of stuff that's going to be going on Monday. And I'm just kind of keeping my fingers crossed. We know the arraignment's not going to be live broadcasted, and that's okay. That's okay. We'll get through it. The best part is the prosecutor, which I think every legal mind across the internet is wondering why in the world we had a 5-day preliminary hearing. For example, let's say federal courts and stuff like that. I would say it's a high percent, like a real high percent in the 90th percentile, or it's really high in federal court. They come back with a true bill. It's usually by indictment, a grand jury indictment. This is a more favorable route to take if you're a prosecutor. The prosecutor gets to decide which way they want to go, because they're the ones that are bringing the charges, and they're the ones that have to prove the case. So there's a lot of nuances with this. And, I guess it kind of sparked my curiosity, because there is a lot of conversation going on about this very topic across social media platforms, not just here on YouTube. And I also want to address something which all my audience already knows anyways. It's not like this is this is a major issue. Oh, and for the people that have not been getting your notifications for the Bullhorn Betty channel, don't do it now. Turn your bell to none and turn it back to all. If that does not fix the problem, you're going to want to unsubscribe and resubscribe, but don't do it during a live, because then you won't be able to communicate with anybody for 20 minutes. So you want to make sure you do it after the live ends, or at the end of the live, or in the morning before we come live, right? But I haven't been posting. You guys know I come here 9:30 during the week. We're here 6:30, typically 6:30 to 8:30 at least. When I'm on the road, things get a little hairy, because we never know if we got internet issues, if we, what the deal is. So we're going to go over this whole Brian Kohberger, and we're going to be discussing some other stuff as well. As always, it's never just about one topic. This is just the topic that I thought would be interesting. It's interesting to me, again, because I was curious about it. I have expressed that curiosity with my audience. And so we're just going to move forward. And if I start getting a little sticky on here, let me know. I will remove the background. Believe it or not, I gotta tell you this story. There's always a story, right? There is always a story. Don't ask me why. There's always a story. I tell you, each day is a new adventure. I have to be honest with you. So this morning, I'm like, I am so sick. I'm so sick of not being in the office. Like, it's really, really getting to me. Like, I have been so busy that, I want to get back into the office. I haven't gone and gotten the new fan. And I'm like, I can't stand sitting out here in the living room, because that's the reason why I was in office 2 yesterday instead of office 3. And I'm like, I don't want to sit out here for hours on end, because it hurts my back, right? I need my chair with my support. So I get up this morning and I'm like, screw it. We're just going to put the office back, right? We're just going to put the office back. I'm just going to run with it. We'll move this over here. No big deal. Let me get the desk set back up in the office. The desk did not want to cooperate. I already got showered. I already had my face on. And I'm in there struggling with a desk. And I finally said, obviously, today is not the day. So that's what I was able to do. But I have a funny feeling tomorrow or Saturday will be the day, because I want my desk chair back. I have to be honest. I want my desk chair back. This right here caused a major explosion in my life. If anybody knows this is not French onion dip. This is sweetener. If you know anything about me, I don't drink sugar. I try to stay away. I refrain from sugar as much as possible. So I put sweetener in my coffee. Well, this stuff is lighter, a lot lighter than sugar. So whereas if this was full of sugar and it fell on the floor, you'd have a bunch of grains that just go all over the floor, right? Well, sweetener's a little different, okay? When it hits the floor, it kind of goes up in like a mushroom cloud, right? It's like when you watch TV and you see the mother of all bombs, right? That big old mushroom cloud, right? And the dust literally covers everything. I don't know how it gets to where it gets. I don't. But I'm telling you, I swept sweetener from places it didn't even have access to get to. That's how sneaky this stuff is. So everything had to come out of the office, literally everything. And then, of course, I got this wild hair at my butt. It's like, well, I got the big desk out of the office. Maybe now's a great time to reorganize the office. Well, a month later, good morning, Sonia. It's nice to see you here. Gigi for life. It's great to see you. The real me too. Stacy, Kathy S. MJ, nice to see you. I think I said hi to Stacy. Sierra, it's nice to see you. Sweet as sugar. What's up? Sheila, Sunshine Cheryl. Mary, good morning. Rick the Fabulous. Well, good morning, Rick the Fabulous. It's nice to have you in the house of Bullhorn Betty. But I am going to take this off because it's starting to drive me nuts. There we go. Maybe we'll blur it back. See if it works better blurred. Maybe. Let's try blurred. I think I like the blurred. Yeah, that's not too bad. My lips are in sync. Perfect. Perfect. Good morning, Rick the Fabulous. Fabulous. No, okay, I need to stop. Patty G, Pebbles, nice to see you. Mama Shell Bell, it's great to have you here this wonderful morning. Kelly Sue out. Who else do we have here? Linda. I said hi to you, MJ. Mustang Sally. Boy, we're getting all kinds of your love today. This week, I should say. It's nice to have you here, love. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Just Samantha in the house. Good morning. I just keep asking, isn't a grand jury more of a check and balance to make sure the state has proper and legal evidence moving forward? Yes and no. So let me get through the thing. I'm going to star you. I got you starred. I'm going to come back to that because really, that is really the question that we are going to be discussing and trying to answer this morning. So just Samantha, just sit tight. Let me get through this. Let me read the language of letting go, and then we'll get started. And I will start right off with that question. That'll be the first question that we cover and get answered. Thank you for that, by the way. Mike Stevens is in the house. Good morning, Mike. Struggle is real. Good morning, love. Jules, it's nice to have you. Misty, Shannon. I called you Shannon this morning. No Sharon today. Except messaging. Except good vibes. We'll share good vibes. Linda, it's nice to see you. I had to be out for a bit and come back and no Dolly and no Molly. What happened? Where are they? Linda, it has been a little crazy. It really has. There was some kind of incident that happened. I was not part of it or didn't really know all the ins and outs of it. But yes, it is true that MGL right now, I don't know if she's appealing the process or what her, how that all goes. Actually, I need to speak to her. She was gone out of the country, so I haven't really even had an opportunity to speak with her a whole lot, outside of just some meaningless chit chat, back and forth and, our little chat or whatnot that we have. But it's just, I really haven't talked to her. I called her because all this happened. And this is the worst part about it, Linda. All of this happened like right after MGL's mom passed away. Like literally they had somebody, they sent somebody out there to follow her at her mother's funeral. Like it's getting so girl, the only thing you have missed on YouTube here lately is the freaking crazies. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And these people are so ill that they literally think it's us. And it's like, dude, do you not realize we're not doing anything? Like this is literally all you guys. Like you guys are so mentally void that you honestly like there's no justification for what they did to MGL. There's no justification what they've been doing to many of us on here. And it's getting bad. So what do you do? What do you do? I hope people are for my mods that are in that chat. Please don't forget, before you delete comments, make sure you report the comments. That would be really beneficial, and take a screenshot as well as the URL, and then block them. That would be really, really appreciative and actually help me a lot. So I appreciate that. AJ, Mike, good morning. Kayla, good morning. Steffers, good morning. It's nice to see you all here. Who else do we have? Julie Willis. Gigi. Was Rick's Clicks. Oh, Rick the Fabulous is Rick's Clicks. Well, it's nice to see you. Holy crap. How have you been, my friend? I hope everything has been really well for you. I am so sorry. I've been just kind of I work literally. I didn't go to bed last night. I literally shut the computer off last night until like, I want to say like 9:45. I literally worked all day long yesterday. Literally from, oh Lord, what time were we up? Like 5? Well, I was up a lot earlier than 5, but I think I started work at like 5. It's been getting crazy. Oh, there's Audrey. Good morning, Audrey. Angela, I see you in the house. Karen Davis, it's great to have you. TLC is me. Sweetie Pie, I think I already said hi to you. So you got 2 highs from Bullhorn Betty. Track, Lisa. Crime Alive, Sabrina, good morning. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Bean Feathers, I did get that. Thank you so much. You are so sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And God bless you. God bless you. Diesel Roddy Puppy. Well, hello, love. I hope you have been really well. You might be in here because you know what was crazy is I went back and I was reviewing one of the videos I did because I wanted to make sure, you know, the uns and ands and stuff like that. I did a lot of them in this particular video, and it was just in the last couple days or whatever. And so there was a lot of people that I didn't see in chat that have been in chat that are regulars that I never even said a hi to. So if I accidentally... And I'm sorry, guys, if I accidentally forget to say hi to you or don't see you in chat, I just know that I do go back and replay and I look at the chat and everything. So I do hope that you guys accept my apology. I love everybody. I love everybody. It's wonderful. The drama tube, yeah, it's getting it. That is it. I think that's more in line with what we're dealing with. I mean, but that's okay. It's just, you know, you just got to keep working at it. Mama Bear, 1, 2, 3, boom. Nice to see you. Southern Grammy Wolf. Caroline, good morning, Miss Stacy. Well, sorry to hear that. My prayers are with her. Yeah, and then Dolly, of course, he's going through, you know, what it is this is kind of how it goes. Good morning, April. It's nice to see you. This is how I look at it. So it's like, you know, when they don't have any content or we're not giving them any content or whatever, you know, because they've got bills to pay and they're monetized accounts and they need their audience to be sending them their Cash Apps, PayPals, and Venmo payments, right? So they have to come up with something. And when they got nothing, they have to go gaslight. And so, when they don't have any information, what they find out is if they try to do reverse psychology on you, that you will end up answering their question or providing them the information that they cannot acquire by any other means. And that's really why I don't address them, because I think they're idiots that have literally no clue how to do a stick of research. I mean, it's clear because of all the stuff that they said that was completely untrue about me. Completely. I mean, remember the 42 arrests? And then when you looked at it, you realized it's traffic citations, civil suits, like all this other stuff. And it's like, wait a minute. What did you say? I think you said I had somebody, I put my gun. Now, mind you, I'm a concealed weapons permit holder. And I have an old gun. It's a Lorsen. It's a 9mm. And it's not the best, it's not the best gun, but I practice at the gun range, and even the sight is not. I think it was like a manufacturer flaw. Like even the sight is off on my gun. But I practice with my gun so much at the gun range that I've actually modified my shooting where I can actually shoot the gun pretty good. Occasionally it'll jam up. And when I say jam up, it'll when it goes to eject the bullet, it'll jam it at the bullet. So you just have to unclip it and clear the chamber. And you got to, but the problem with that gun is I don't carry it on me because it's too heavy. I don't have anything like even the equipment that I wear to conceal my weapon. It's too heavy for even the stuff because I don't wear a holster or anything like that. Everything is done through different types of clothing that's designed for the carrying of a weapon. But I'm actually there's a 380 that I'm just dying to have. And I was going to go out yesterday and go shopping for a new gun. And yeah, well, exactly. And so that's kind of where that's kind of that's kind of how it all started. Was my gun. But they even say that I'm like this felon and everything else. And it's like, you guys have been lied to so much because all they wanted to do is gas. Like these people, I feel so bad for their audience because they have literally just lied to them about everything. Literally about everything. Have I been arrested? Yes, I've been arrested. Have I been convicted of a felon? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Have I been arrested for a felony? Yeah. But again, they have to show, like everything we're dealing with in all these courts, they have to show the evidence. They didn't have any evidence. If they don't have any evidence, they can't prosecute you. I mean, that's how kind of the court systems work. And, they want to ignore that when it's convenient for them. And at the end of the day, they just been lied to. I feel bad for them. But somebody was in my chat and they're like, I thought you can't have a gun. It's like, dude, when are you guys going to realize you were lied to? Not only do I own guns, I also have a concealed weapons permit and vote. Clearly, I'm not buried under the jail. Freaking people. Oh, Hawk, it's nice to see you, love. I hope everything is going well. So anyways, just not to let them to distract us. And this is going to be the case moving forward. We're no longer going to, even my audience, like when you see a troll come in here, I don't even want you to address them. We've got moderators in here that know how to block them, know how to remove them. There's no point in don't even acknowledge their existence in here. If you see something, no point in even gaslighting them or even triggering them. They are absolutely no concern of ours. Let them hate, let them do whatever. The moderators will block them. We've got a lot of stuff in place. I've already spoke to YouTube. Everything we're doing in the right way and in the appropriate way of handling all of this. So we're just going to trust the process, and we're not going to engage. And I don't want my audience. I know you guys come here every day and you love me. I'm not into all this drama. This pays their bills. I'm not. They need to go pay for their drugs and their 18 children some other way than off my back. Either way, we're not going to be addressing them in here. The moderators are going to take care of it. They know who to look for. We've got like every little thing possibly imaginable behind the scenes to help to make sure that you guys are not affected as the audience. And it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. As I've stated at the beginning of this year, when we made the decision that we're not going to just sit here and be assaulted, stalked, physically stalked, and digitally stalked, or harassed. We're not going to do it. We don't do that to anybody, despite what the haters say. They can try to spin our work out there when we're covering cases as a justification to every single day stalk me and harass me. No, that's no. I have never done that to anybody to justify this, and neither has any other creator that I have ever worked with. So just because you do not like me doesn't mean you get a right to stalk me and harass me. Move on with your life. And that is my statement and my final statement related to this. We're no longer going to address it collectively as a group. Okay, guys, I don't want you engaging with them. I really don't. If we have a bunch of haters, and this goes for my mods, if we have back and forth, even from our own audience with these people, you're going to have to time our own people out. We're not going to be engaging. We're not going to be engaging. Okay. I want to make sure that this chat is clean for the audience that wants to be here and have an enjoyable time and discuss cases. And adult, they're acting like children and juveniles. And I'm sorry, but we're well above all that nonsense. So I just want to make sure that we set a good, good rules here for everybody. And it's not, we're going to be attacked. We do a lot of stuff to help while other people don't. And it's going to make them jealous, and this channel is ultra successful for the size that it is. So we're doing an amazing job and amazing work. And why they may want to manipulate that or try to spin it to their advantage, at the end of the day, this channel is doing a lot better than a lot of channels out there. And they don't understand how people aren't listening to them and why people aren't giving their money to them. Why, the only thing they can say about me is I'm grifting, when we are one of the most transparent channels out there, especially with the donations and money we get. Look at all these other channels that are monetized and have, Cash App and Venmo. Not one time have they ever showed you where 1 penny of their money has gone. And I can promise you, they have never bought a flyer for any of these cases that they have ever covered, ever. I guarantee none of these creators that come after me have even given 1 dime to any reward fund, any fund, to help another person. This channel went down to Fort Myers. It's not even true crime. Went down to Fort Myers after Ian and helped. We brought supplies. We brought food. We saved like 25 dogs from drowning. We helped get people out of flooded areas. Good morning, Potty Mouth. These are the things that we're attacked for. Guys, I just want to let you know. Who can attack somebody for doing stuff like that? Anybody that does, there's got to be a reason for it. And I can guarantee it's not because of my behavior. May 18th, use your creativity in saying when. Grace was the single parent of a 17-year-old son, Sean. Sean was charismatic, powerful, strong-willed, intelligent, and chemically dependent. Grace loved John deeply, but she also felt trapped by his rebellious teenage years. Coupled with his drug and alcohol usage, Sean had been through treatment once, did well for a while, and then he relapsed. Sean had a driver's license and a car. In his sober times, Sean handled the responsibility of the car well. And the agreement was if Sean relapsed, he would relinquish the keys. The problem with chemical dependency is that denial and lying go hand in hand with this disease. When Sean began using again, he also began lying to his mother. It didn't take long for Grace to see and understand what was going on. She knew what her boundary was. Take away the car. Grace was clear about what she could and couldn't do. She couldn't make Sean stay sober, but she could refuse to allow him to drive. Grace took action. She grabbed a screwdriver, went outside, and removed both license plate from Sean's car and drove directly to the post office. She then mailed the license plate to a friend friend of the family and asked that friend to keep the plates until Sean sobered up. Sean knew a boundary had just been clearly set. 6 months later, when his plates were returned to him, he was sober and ready to respect the responsibility involved with driving an automobile. Sometimes it's not enough to say when. We need to get creative in how we have to say it. God, help me know that you will always be there to guide me in setting limits when it's my responsibility and in my best interest to enforce a particular boundary. We've talked many times on this channel about setting healthy boundaries and the power of saying no. And the reason why we bring it up is because much of my life, I was a people pleaser, and I had to have that, almost the Letitia effect, where I had to be congratulated and attaboy for the good that I did. And if I didn't, I would have a complete and utter meltdown. Much different from today, where I give because I want to give, not because it's the right thing. There's a lot of stuff that I do, not every single day or every single week or stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I do throughout the years for people, mostly in my county, that I never ever bring up. And there's a lot of examples that I can state, from volunteer work to working at the soup kitchen to, like, for example, a childhood friend, hadn't seen her in years. And, her baby's dad was kind of out there in the streets on drugs. She had a young, a 16-year-old that had a baby. She was diagnosed with cancer. She was struggling, and her fan broke in her home. And, while I couldn't afford to buy her fan, I could put it in for her so she wasn't, charged by an electrician, which would most likely charge her anywhere between $150 to $250 to install that fan. And those are things, and I've got so many of those for, over the years that I could tell you. And, I always wonder, when these people come after me, they know that about me. They know, they see, if they've done even a single ounce of research, the good I've done, and they still needlessly attack me. And I just, I can't comprehend it. So there's more going on there than just them not liking me. It's much more than that. It's political, or it's personal. It's jealousy. Those are the only two reasons at this point. But either way, I digress. So getting on with the Brian Kohberger case, first of all, I wanted to address something. Everybody knows, I know Sleuthy Goosey knows who I am, but I don't know what her opinion of me truly is. It might be a good opinion. It might be a no opinion. It might be a bad opinion. I truly don't know what her opinion of me is. However, I do like her, and I do like the work that she does. And I love how thorough she is. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, she's one of the top people that I always check throughout the day to see if there's, any news breaking, anything that we can discuss, anything that gives me a perspective, a different perspective. And it also gives me a way of asking her questions if I have a question on something, or if I just want to, she posts something and I just have an opinion on it, I'll post that opinion. But there was one thing here that kind of confused me. And it's something I've never heard before. And I'm not saying it hasn't happened, or there's not a rule for it or something like that. It's just something I've never heard before. And I'm not, it's hard because I don't want to, because she's so thorough and I trust her. To be honest with you, I trust, a lot of the stuff that she puts out because I see her work and see how thorough it is. But there's just this one statement that's just like, it's one of those things where I don't want to be critical of her because I like her so much. but it doesn't make sense to me and I've never heard it. And I have to address it because it's driving me nuts, right? It's driving me nuts. And you're probably saying, what in the world are you talking about, Betty? And so I want to show you this. And then we're going to discuss this real quick. Oh, I already had it up. We're going to discuss this real quick. Okay, so this was it was this one here. And it was actually this statement, right? Let me get just a little, I want to fit it in perfectly, but I want it so big that you guys can read it. Oh, let me take this, excuse me, this banner off. I don't need it anymore. So it's this one right here where he said he didn't. It was a response to another, and I don't want to have to give you guys context. Well, I'll give you a little context. So there was some back and forth going on about. Somebody commented. I think if I'm not mistaken, I read a lot of comments, but I think this is the one that triggered this response, and it was somebody stating that, you know, it seems like they should have never arrested Brian Kohberger because the preliminary hearing hadn't taken place or whatever. And they were saying that, you know, it was best basically rearresting him again. And she's like, no, actually, that's not exactly how it is. But she said he didn't know he waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. And it's that statement that has caused me great confusion because I've never heard of anybody waiving a right to a speedy preliminary hearing. I've heard of people waiving their right to the preliminary hearing and going directly to trial, but I've never heard of a speedy preliminary waiver before. And again, it may just be because I've never experienced it, but I tried to do a little bit of preliminary work on this just to see how common it was, you know, potentially maybe some of the case law in Idaho related to this. And when I was doing my research, everything was coming back as waiver of preliminary hearing, not the waiver of the right to a speedy preliminary hearing. And so I just wanted to bring that up because it very well, and I didn't know if somebody else might have been confused by that as well. But I have to be honest with you, I've never heard of that, but it's not that it can't be true, I guess. I'm just not familiar enough, I guess, with Idaho to find out if this is something that they do in Idaho or not. But I've just never heard of that. And I probably should have reached out to Sleuthy asking her, you know, about that a little bit before I brought it up here. So I'm sorry, but I was doing some stuff and I'm like, I've never heard of that. So I'm like, you know, maybe I just don't know. Maybe it's like something that I've, you know, just, I just never heard of it. So I don't know if that's accurate, if that's an accurate statement or not. It's the only thing. And maybe she was, and I do this a lot. You know, where I type something and it sounds right to me, or I think it sounds right to me, and then I'll reread it later and it's a little confusing. And so I have to go back and edit it or modify it, or especially if I do talk to text, I'm horrible. Like I don't think it was embarrassing. I hate typos, and I hate typos on Twitter because Twitter is the only one you can't edit. I wish Twitter would allow you to edit the post on the free. You know, I shouldn't have to pay $11.99 to be able to edit my post. I'm a horrible, like I do talk to text a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, Just Samantha. You know what? It just dawned on me. Hey, 3 Dot Dave, what's shaking bacon? Just Samantha, I forgot I was going to start out with your question. I just looked up there and I saw it in the starred side. So I'm so sorry. So we'll get back to your question. So just Samantha, while I was going through everything to, you know, say hi to the audience. It's nice to see you and all the people coming in. And we were blessed with 3 Dot Dave. If anybody knows, 3 Dot Dave doesn't come over here and watch Bullhorn Betty. 3 Dot Dave's not like a Bullhorn Betty fan. I think I get the sympathy love from 3 Dot Dave because you know, I love his friend Dolly Vision, like the Turtle King, right? I think his friend is really funny, makes me laugh, and it's not fair what he's going through right now. It's not fair what any of us are going through, but again, you just got to keep hitting back and hopefully this stuff dies down, or something happens. So anyway, I'm teasing. I'm calling you out, 3.Dave. I love you. I love you. I love everybody, to be honest with you. I really don't have even the haters. I actually said, even this morning when I got up, I prayed for them. They were one of the first people I prayed for. I prayed for one of my friends that I'm not getting along with right now. And I prayed for, the haters, and just prayed for them to get love and guidance. And I will continue to do so. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate it. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are a couple of people that I loathe and despise, but I don't think it rises to the level of hate. So, so getting back to your question, just Samantha, I keep asking, isn't a grand jury more of a checks and balances to make sure the state has proper and legal evidence to move forward? Yes and no. Like, the grand jury is the the lowest level of alleged guilt, right? It's probable cause. Probable cause is subjective, right? Probable cause is just basically saying that there is a possibility that you have done this, and quite frankly, this is, again, it comes back to the Brett Payne affidavit. The Brett Payne affidavit had more than enough information in it to satisfy the probable cause requirement necessary to get the indictment. It did. So if they could proffer evidence from this probable cause affidavit before the grand jury, they were going to get that grand jury indictment. I never understood, and I've said it from the beginning, I never understood why they're doing this preliminary hearing. I was kind of excited that we actually get to go in there and actually hear some of the stuff going on in this case. Like, that was the most important part for me, reporting on this case and covering this case, was getting that insight and that edge into what was going on. We lost that opportunity when they went to the grand jury, which again brings it back up. The grand jury is the I don't want to say better route to take, because they both options have their benefits, their advantages and disadvantages. Period. They both have, there's legal strategy and trial strategy with both the grand jury indictment or the preliminary hearing. However, I believe it is used, the grand jury is used more often, in my opinion, in capital case type crimes. And I think that they utilize the grand jury in this because it's not that it lowers the bar of what is necessary to get to the indictment and get and have the probable cause, almost officiated. I'm having wrong words that are going in with what I'm trying to describe, but I really believe that prosecutors prefer. There we go. Prosecutors prefer the grand jury over the preliminary hearing, because I think the preliminary hearing, it gives, in my opinion, it gives the defense too much control way too soon. And that's just my personal opinion about it. And what do I mean by control? Because they're able to cross-examine, they're able to already hear your testimony, your veil of secrecy. Like, you're required to turn over discovery, but you're not required to tell them how you're going to be, what your trial strategy is on this case. That is work product. That is exempt from disclosure. That's not discoverable. And with the preliminary hearing in a case like this, you're trying to get to the truth. You're not wanting to show your hand. Think about it. It's a poker game, okay? And I don't want to consider trials like poker games, but there's some identifying markers in a poker game. Like, right? you all see the cards there, right? You all see the cards there. Now you've got to match your cards to get your best possible hand to the cards being the discovery, okay? But you're not telling the person on the other side of the table what's in your cards, what numbers you have. You all have the same information there before you, and now you have to play your hand. And so you never want to give the edge to the other player. So you're never going, that's why you hold your cards close to your chest, right? There's a lot of analogies here that are similar to what we hear from law enforcement. You want to hold those cards close because you don't want to let them know that's your work product, right? Your cards in your hand are your work product. The cards on the table is your discovery, and now you got to figure out how to play your hand with what is before you. And you're not required to show this to the defense. You're only required to show that to the defense. So with the preliminary hearing, you're opening that box to allow the defense to see what's in your hand. And I never have understood, for me personally, I know that there's advantages and disadvantages of both to get to that preliminary or to get the indictment. I don't want to, there's legal strategy for both. That's why there are both. But I think it would have been too costly for the state for them to go the preliminary hearing round. And not only that, but the preliminary hearing. Oh my gosh, 5 days? 5-day preliminary hearing? That's insane to me. That's insane. So we're going to watch a little video here. And I thought this, and the reason why I'm showing you this, you guys know I'm not really a fan of, where is it? I'm not really a fan of News Nation. Where is my News Nation? Hold on a second. I have another News Nation. Is that it right there? That's Nolo. Hold on. I got one article, and I guess I copied when I did the one article, it went over the other article. So I have two things I wanted to discuss with you. There it is. Okay. This is this the one from, there's one that Chris Como did. And you guys know I'm not really a Chris Como fan. I love Brian Enton, but his other counterparts I'm not really fans of. I don't want to be disrespectful because I sometimes feel like when I say things about, which I don't like Ashley Banfield, I don't like Chris Como. But at the end of the day, I do love Brian Enton and highly respect him and his craft. And so I try very hard. It's hard. I bite my tongue a lot, but I feel like I'm disrespectful to Brian every time I say something about Ashley Banfield and Chris Como. And I'm sorry, but I just don't really like them. I don't care for them that much. And it's my fault, but I don't like them. And I just don't have respect. I guess it's not that I don't like them. I don't know them to make an assessment whether I like them or don't like them. I think they're unprofessional. And I think they've lied to the public. And I realize we all have a job to do, but I also believe that there's a way to do your job without lying to your audience. And I feel the whole situation in the bandwagon of the unconfirmed sources was a real big problem for me, especially when we here on this channel, with the help of Just Samantha, she was a good driving force behind this, to be honest with you, in bringing to light what Ashley Banfield and Chris Como and Steve Helling with People Magazine, they were all coordinating with each other and coming up with these secret sources and tag teaming right behind each other. So they were using each other to help promote each other's horrible, unconfirmed sources. So it was this racket, and we could clearly see it, and we clearly brought it up to our audience and exposed it. However, there was this article, and I will give credit where credit was due, that Chris Como just did, that I actually liked. I actually liked his reporting on this. I know I'm having heart palpitations myself. I never thought the day. Aw, well, I'm so sorry. You're so tired, honey bunny. But yeah. So I was just going over your because I told you that I'd go over to your question before I got into the other stuff. And then I ended up getting in the other stuff and I saw that I had your stuff up here. So thank you, Jennifer. It's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're having a wonderful day. 456 Casino. I was watching a channel and they actually said that that is actually the norm, that it's before it's done before all courts. I found that weird. Well, I'm assuming what you're saying when you say watching another channel and they said that that is actually the norm. I'm assuming that you're talking about the grand jury indictment. It is the norm for grand jury indictments. Many people use the grand jury indictments to indict these high profile cases. These capital cases are typically all done by grand jury indictment. I don't want to say or paint a broad brush that they're all done that way because they're not. It really depends on the trial strategy of the state. And many people don't realize it's the state that actually decides whether they're going to go the route of the grand jury or go the route of the preliminary hearing. I think they may have just put the preliminary hearing on it. That in and of itself may have been a trial strategy for the state as well, to see what kind of kickback they were going to be getting from the defense. There's a lot of things, and it's true because there are a lot of things that are done to elicit a type of response to find out what type of response they have, because based on that type of response that they have may take you down a different strategy that you may want to use in the trial, depending on how they are acting. So I was kind of dumbfounded of a 5-day preliminary hearing. It's not the first one that's been that lengthy, but I can tell you it's not common to have a preliminary hearing that lengthy. And if I have a legal professional like an attorney in here or an attorney that does the replay on this show, please confirm that and let me know that. I mean, I that's my understanding. I could be wrong, I could be right, but that's my understanding. That's my experience. But again, I didn't do capital crime cases. I didn't prepare capital crime cases. Those are the one things I didn't have a hand in. It's a card game. Exactly. Yeah. I figured that was the best analogy I can give you is a poker game, because when you're playing, you've got all your cards down in front of you and you hold your cards to your chest, and those cards in front of you are your discovery. Your cards that you're holding in your hand is your work product and your trial strategy and how you're going to your case. So you don't want to tip your hand. You're not required to. Right? You're not required to show them what's in your hand. And that's what a preliminary hearing is doing for the state. You're literally showing your hand to the defense and allowing them to argue. When you're trying to get an indictment, the last thing you want is a pit bull arguing to the contrary of what you're trying to do, especially when you don't have to, right? I mean, that at the end of the day, it's the prosecutor that gets to pick it. Like, why would you go in there and waste 5 days when you don't have to? Right? I wouldn't want to do it. Do you know how much time that would have been spent that they would have to prepare for this preliminary hearing? I mean, if people knew what goes into preparing for trial, we saw Alec Murdaugh. Do you remember when we were out at the court hearing and I popped we were live and I popped my camera up over that fence and you've seen all those books and like they literally had, carts, those little, the beach carts, that you the expandable thing that you pop out and you usually put your beach stuff in it with the big wheels on it and it has the handle and you can walk it out to the beach. Probably people on the farm maybe use it for maybe for their plants, so they don't have to carry a bunch of plants. They just pop this thing open, put them in there. It's got little sides around it. It looks like what we used to, like those little the red racing cart. Remember that? But it's got sides on it. They had like 5 or 6 of those filled with binders this big and other stuff. I mean, if you knew the amount of time that it takes to prepare for trial, it doesn't matter what trial, civil or criminal. If people knew what went into that, it is a lot. It is a lot of paperwork. It is a lot of evidence. It's a lot of cross-referencing. Did you notice in like Alec Murdaugh case where they were able to easily, when they were talking about one thing and they're like, oh, here, do you remember the state admitted into evidence, state's exhibit 248. Can you check this? Does 248 match, evidence 863? Right, you know what I'm saying? Like they were able to constantly be pulling that out. That is because somebody was cross-referencing their work to make sure that they had everything and were on, that nice smooth where they were able to do that. That's cross-referencing. So you got a lot of that. If you have to do a preliminary hearing, a lot of that same those same actions you have to do. It is a massive, I mean, the grand jury is still a massive undertaking. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that a grand jury is cakewalk. I'm not saying that, but it's easier, in my opinion. Much easier. Less headache, less frustration. It's nice and clean. Nobody knows about it until they're indicted. Easy breezy, lemon squeezy, right? So we're not going to find out the exculpatory evidence or what the Brady violation was either. No, we're not. That's why it was so important for me to be there at the preliminary hearing. Now that preliminary hearing has been canceled. So we're not going to be going to Idaho in June. It was something I was looking forward to because I felt like more people were going to be there. There would be a better opportunity to maybe get some insight from some people that are out there. I feel bad for the kids because, a lot of these kids are, university students for the first time. They're away from their parents for the first time. And they have like this magnifying glass and microscope, like dead center on them. And I can understand how frustrating it must be having to deal with news reporters, and all this stuff. But I hope the students out there understand that one, this is an unfortunate situation. It's part of life. But two, the reporters have every right to be there. And I hope that they are treating them with at least a little respect. But I also hope the reporters are also treating the students with respect as well. The one thing we never got into in the Idaho 4 was casting blame on the kids. I'm very proud that we rose above all that on this show. We never went and reached out to the families of the victims. As a matter of fact, one of the victims' families reached out to us. What else? There's and we've never where we've been is we've always, when we've reached out to people, like we were able to get some interviews. We were able to get the interview with Brian Koberger's childhood friend. We were able to get an interview with that neighbor kid that lived there that was talking to the news, that went to the news first, the shorter kid. His story was really sad of seeing what he went through just for trying to help in a case. And that wasn't fair. And I never reached out. And as a matter of fact, we stood up with Jack D, Jake, and Jack S. We stood up with it. And I actually stood up related to Bethany and Dylan because I never believed that they were a part of this. Like people really just went after them. And it was very disgusting to watch. And I remember time and time and time again on this channel, we kept telling, please, please, please don't do that. Don't reach out to these kids. We don't have enough information to point the finger at anyone. I said that. I don't know how many times I said that to the audience. Like I asked my audience, I begged my audience, please don't engage in that conduct. How many people by a show of ones recall me? Oh, thank you, Southern Grammy. How many of you by show of ones in my audience recall me saying that to everybody in our chat? Good morning, Bullhorn. Me and my family love watching your channel and keep up the good work. We love how you do your research and explain everything to us. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. That's so sweet. Aw, thank you. Integrity in journalism is lacking quite a bit in quite a few. And you know what? And honestly, you know, there's yes, I definitely believe that you are right, the integrity in journalism. But at the end of the day, this is my thing. And this is kind of actually an olive branch, if you will, for Chris Como and Ashley Banfield and what I'm about to say. And it's going to be, I kind of understand why we were at that point. They have a job to do. They are a multi-million-dollar company that has to keep the lights on and has to keep reporting the news. And they are hindered so much so by this non-dissemination order that, you know, they have to come up with something, and they have to grasp at straws to keep the conversation going. Like that in and of itself, whether we call it an integrity issue or not, it is a business decision, if you will, as to what is done. I can tell you, Ashley Banfield can't make decisions all on her own as to what she reports. Unlike me, she's got managers, she's got producers, she's got attorneys, she's got bosses. And so that had to have all been approved by them. I just want to say that. So this is not, I know I went after because I was just disheartened that she did it, but doesn't surprise me. But she has people just like Nancy Grace and her setting up that chair and table out in front of that house. And quite frankly, I never understood why people got so butthurt about it. Because quite frankly, if I was smart, I would have went to Walmart and got a freaking chair and a table my darn self. I have to be honest with you. It's freezing cold out there and it sucks standing all day. Like, kudos to Nancy Grace. I'm sorry. Like, thanks for being smart. You know? But the olive branch is I know that they have to fill the time. And it's not fair because you know what? This non-dissemination order is doing exactly the opposite of what it's intended to do. If it's intended to tamper down misinformation and speculation, it didn't. It only ramped it up. So the exact opposite of the intense tint of it is happening. The exact opposite. There is more misinformation out there on the streets of social media now after the non-dissemination order than there ever was before. And while I don't agree that Bethany Funk or Dylan Mortensen should be needlessly, asked to speak and stuff like that, it's still the right of the press to make that contact and ask. I have never made that contact. I have never asked. And there's reasons why. Why would I not try to be reaching out to Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen? Because I don't want to know what they have to say. That's why. In all reality, at the end of the day, I don't want to know what they have to say. And I don't want what they have to say being said on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Because they were the only two people in that house, and I want their testimony secret. I could sit there and pick up the phone and call them if I wanted to, right? I have all the same tools at my disposal as the rest of the sleuths have. And if I really wanted to reach out to her, I would. And I may have reached out to her at the beginning just to say, my name is Andrea, I'm so-and-so. I don't believe that you did this, because I did reach out to a lot of the people at the beginning and let them know that I did not think that they were responsible for this. And I apologized to them and told them I was extremely, and these are things that people don't know behind the scenes that we did. And I apologized to them. I think the best, one of the best things that I was able to do for me, and it made me feel good, was when I was able to talk to Jack D and tell him that I'm very sorry for his loss, and I hope he understands that we, me and Olivia, definitely came out in support of them. We tried to tamper down the information. We tried to, make sure everybody had the factual information and everybody knew that you were not responsible for this. And, the speculation and other channels, and not just YouTube, guys. I mean, there was a lot. I know a lot of you don't, maybe or may not be on TikTok, but TikTok, OMG, I saw some of the stuff on TikTok and I'm like, are you flipping kidding me? Some of these creators on TikTok, truth. They don't want the truth. They don't care for the truth. They don't. It's all about the shock and awe. That's all they peddle on Twitter, a few of these accounts. Not all of the ones that I saw that was peddling misinformation. Some of the stuff that was peddling misinformation was just from ignorance and lack of proper research. But there were some that were just intentionally, it absolutely made no sense. Made absolutely no sense. I don't even know how they have the audience to even peddle that information. Some of the stuff I saw was like, how stupid can you be? And I'm not calling out names. I don't need any more hate. We got enough. We got to take a number, stand in line, right? But I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But and the reason why I'm telling you guys all this, and let me go down here and see how many people have ones. Did you guys show the ones yet? You guys never even answered my question. Let's see how many people are in here. Actually, I'll go over here and do a poll. I'll do a poll. Okay. There we go. So it says, how many people remember BHB stating we don't have enough information to point the finger at anyone? And believe me, I have the receipts because we were live. We were live, and I said it so many times, it's not even funny. Not even funny. And why do I say this? Why do I say this? Because yet again, misinformation is going around that somehow the judge thinks I am so important, right? That Bullhorn Betty is so important that the judge actually sealed the witness list because of me. Somebody that's never done any of that, right? And the people that have actually threatened Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, they're not saying anything. The people that actually threatened them, called them murderers. When have you ever seen me do that to those girls? I complain online about the hours it took to call 911, and I have every right to question that. And so does everybody else, because I have never in my life heard of somebody seeing a stranger in their house, closing their door, and going to sleep. Sorry. It just doesn't make sense to me. Things that don't make sense to me, I question. Oh, see, hey, it's nice to see you. And Sean, I see you in the house as well. So I want to show you this this video, and this is another one, but I'm hoping that this is the right one with what's his name? Chris Como. But it might not be because the picture on it is the attorney, Sarah. And she's nice too. I like her.
Q&A live stream on News Nation,
Oh, this will be
your number one go-to cable news station. Idaho is coming up for questions to Brian. Really wonderful to do the coverage of crime stories. I hope that I can get some of these questions answered. For the brutal murders of these 4 Idaho students. He's been charged in Latah County, and there's also a burglary charge, which is.
And I want to tell you guys, that's Sarah. I think it's her. What is her name? Sarah Arzi. I can't remember. I'm always bad with names. Let me tell you what her name is. I want to make sure that it's accurate. Hold on a second. Give me Twitter. Sarah. Come on. Azari. That's Sarah Azari. Very knowledgeable. I follow her. I like her breakdown. I like a lot of these people that I'm following on Twitter. I like a lot of their breakdowns of it. But this is her. She's very knowledgeable. To me, she seems very thorough. And again, she does try to provide the proper opinions on both sides. She kind of explains it as well. And I really like some of her explanations of this stuff.
The least of his worries, but it's really
not, by any stretch of the imagination, this is not the video that I was intending to bring forward to you guys. There's one that Chris Como did, but we'll do this and then we'll get to the Gonzalez family.
For the prosecution. And I kept saying, why did the prosecution not move forward to the grand jury indictment? Because it's really, this case is prime for indictment.
Right. And I have to agree with her 100%. That this is prime for indictment. And I never understood, not only did I never understand the preliminary hearing in this and showing their cards to the defense, but I also never understood how in the world it's going to take 5 days to do this. Sometimes trials are handled in less than 5 days. So
has been. The idea is that when you have a highly circumstantial case with some questionable evidence, the DNA has been questionable. The cell tower pinging with the triangulation issues has been questionable.
She is hitting on everything that our audience here on the Bullhorn Betty channel have questioned. And I can tell you that there has been parts that the Gonzalez, especially at the beginning, that the Gonzalez were uncomfortable with. I remember a comment that Steve made as we were leaving, and he's like, if they've got the right guy, and I remember him saying that. And this was when we were at lunch. It was the second trip that we took out to Idaho, not the first one, the second one. And we were taking them to lunch, and that's when we learned that the family was reaching out to Dylan and Bethany, and Dylan never even responded back to them. But that could also be because maybe law enforcement possibly had her cell phone in their possession. They may still have it in their possession, and that may be the reason why Dylan was unable to respond back to Olivia. So let's just keep going. But we did question the DNA. We brought the DNA question up quite a bit. We know that the state is trying to fight providing the genealogy testing related to this, saying it's insignificant and not discoverable. I'm saying that it's discoverable, and they're going to end up having to turn that over to the defense.
There's been a lot of sort of dots to connect, and this is a case that's perfect for grand jury indictment, because the idea is that the prosecution does not want the defense to have the opportunity to poke holes in its case and witness testimony that comes up in a preliminary hearing. So again, a preliminary hearing is to establish probable cause that there's enough probable cause for the defendant to stand trial, essentially.
So they're basically saying, is there enough elements? We talk about elements on here in the prong tests that are necessary for certain things, like even evidentiary rules, or even, for example, when the collective media took their argument to the Supreme Court, right? When they took their argument to the Supreme Court, they I just lost, I don't know why. I just lost my train of thought. And it literally.
And at that, defendant, so
Hold on, let me
again, a
read it.
preliminary hearing is to establish probable cause that a defendant has, there's enough probable cause for the defendant.
Okay, I know where I was going with this. So the probable cause is the lowest level. So you have probable cause, which basically means there's just enough elements in there. And we were talking about elements, for things like standing. Remember, we went through that the opinion, and I told you this is the prong test that they're using for standing. Well, it's not the same prong test, but it's the same type of you have to meet a certain threshold in order to have probable cause. So that threshold to show probable cause is one of the lowest. So you have probable cause, then you have like a preponderance of evidence, and then you have beyond a reasonable doubt. You see? So the bar of what they have to prove is so low for probable cause that it's almost guaranteed, if you have the elements, that you're going to get that grand jury indictment. Why? And she's talking about the cross-examination of the witnesses and poking holes in it. And yes, that is a major issue. But for me, in this case, I think that the issue for why not to have a preliminary hearing is letting them see your hand. And quite frankly, in a case like this, you want to keep that. You want to keep your trial strategy to yourself. That's not public knowledge or public information. And I really believe in a case like this, they would show too much of their hand, and that is not a good thing.
It's a stand trial, essentially. And at that preliminary hearing, which was initially scheduled for June 26th, we would then hear from the defense. We wouldn't hear because there's a gag order, but the defense would essentially participate in that. They could bring their own witnesses to impeach prosecution witnesses or refute their case. They would also heavily challenge and cross-examine all of the evidence that the prosecution would put on. Well, with a grand jury, it's very different. It's a secret proceeding. Brian Kohberger does not get notice that it's happening. He gets notice afterwards that he's been indicted, and he can go pick up his transcript, right? That's what happens in all my grand jury cases. And so there's zero participation by the defense. But what's really important, and what I've seen all over Twitter this morning, is about this idea of exculpatory evidence, right? Exculpatory evidence must be presented to a grand jury. So even though this is a very sort of one-sided proceeding where you only have the prosecutor, the judge, the 12 jurors, the grand jurors, in the room with a court reporter, right? You have to still represent the evidence that is perhaps favorable to the defense, that might be, exculpatory to them. You can't.
So also, we already know who would most likely be in that that grand jury. So who would be in that grand jury? Well, we definitely know Dylan Mortensen would most likely have to be there, because she is the only one that saw him. And as little as information that she may have, she may say the exact statement that Brett Payne has in his affidavit. And let's just read it so we refresh everybody's recollection of what was stated. So the only thing that we have in here for a statement from Bethany Funk is the fact that she saw Xander Kernodle and Ethan Chapin at the Sigma Chi fraternity house from 9 p.m. to 1:45 on the 13th. Other than that, everything else came from Dylan Mortensen. So I'm unsure if, because it's in the probable cause affidavit, my assumption would be that both Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk were required to be at that grand jury for testimony. And so what Dylan stated is Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk both made statements during interviews, plural, interviews, multiple, that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep or at least in their room by 4 a.m. This was with the exception of Xander Kernodle, which we learned received a DoorDash to the resident around 4 a.m. And she was also seen on her. Well, I'll just read it so we have it verbatim. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported the information. Dylan Mortensen stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Dylan stated she awoke approximately 4 a.m. And again, this is the previous statement was everybody in the resident were asleep or at least in the room by 4 a.m. We know that the room that Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie Mogan were murdered in was directly above Dylan Mortensen's head. So she states that she awoke approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with the dog in the upstairs bedroom. We know that the dog was not in that upstairs bedroom with Kaylee and Maddie, that Murphy was actually in Kaylee Gonzalez's bedroom that she was staying in when she stayed at that house. However, the dog was not in the room directly above the head of Dylan Mortensen. So she most likely was hearing this struggle at 4 a.m. or somewhere about that time when Maddie and Kaylee were actually struggling with the assailant, potentially. A short time later, Dylan said she heard what she thought was Gonzalez saying something to the effect, "There's somebody here." A review of records obtained from forensic download of Kernodle's phone shows that Kernodle was on her phone and likely awake using the TikTok app. Dylan stated that she looked out of her bedroom but didn't see anything when she heard the comments about someone being in the home. So that was the second time. Dylan Morton said she opened the door the second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's bedroom. Dylan Mortensen then said she heard a male's voice saying something to the effect, "It's okay. I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 in the morning, a security camera, and that was on what I perceived to be Hunter's house at 1112 King Road, a resident immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like whimpering and a loud thud. A dog can be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 in the morning. The security camera is less than 50 feet from Kernodle's room. And if you want to know what 50 feet look like, it's basically an extension cord. Dylan Mortensen said she opened the door a third time after she heard crying and saw a figure in clad black clothing and a mask covering the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. Dylan described the figure as being 5'10", or taller, a male, not muscular, but athletically built, with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan Mortensen as she stood frozen in a shock phase. The male walked toward the back sliding glass door. Dylan Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan Mortensen did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. The combination of Dylan Mortensen's statement to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads from Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen's phone, and video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 and 4:25 a.m. So again, this is important stuff. That would be most likely what the girls testified to. There's been a lot of, back and forth about why does one affidavit have more information or not identical from warrant to warrant. And there's a few reasons for that, because each warrant. The warrant in Pennsylvania is different from the warrant in Wazoo, which is different than the warrant for 1122 King Road. So depending on what kind of warrants, they're not going to put anything more in a probable cause affidavit except enough information to satisfy the requirements in an effort to get that warrant. So they're not going to. They're a lot of them are identical, but people are like, well, why did Blaker put 9 a.m. But when Dylan Mortensen saw Xana and Ethan, why did Corporal Brett Payne put that Dylan Mortensen verified that she saw them from 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 in the morning on November 13th. But Officer Blaker or Detective Blaker or Sergeant Blaker or whatever his designation is only stated 9 a.m. Maybe he didn't see that it was necessary to put what time the kids leave. Maybe it wasn't necessary for him to establish the time Xana or Ethan left the Sigma Chi fraternity house in an order to get that warrant. If it's not necessary, they're not going to add it in there. Could it have just been a typo or something that was just accidentally omitted that really didn't make a big difference one way or another? That's possible too. A Scrivener's error is just absolutely possible. So there's a lot of reasons for that, and I just don't want my audience getting too confused with that. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to read some things to you that I thought were important. And then and then we'll get on to one last video, and then I'm going to call it a day. I'm very excited. I'm going to be seeing a friend that I haven't seen in a while, and we're going to go to the beach and hang out and then go grab lunch. I'm not going to the doctor's office again, though. I love that experience. That was amazing. I actually told my friend, I was telling my friend, I'm like, you know what? I was out there at the beach. I hadn't been out in a while. Of course, all my friends know that. I haven't been out in a while. And so I went out to the beach, and I said, and I was leaving the beach, I was going to go to the Ugly Grouper for dinner. And I just happened to see these people standing in the middle of the freaking road. And I look, and it's this doctor's office, and they're pointing and taking pictures, and I knew something was off, and I'm like, is this a bar? Is it is it a doctor's office? And they're like, no, it's a restaurant. And it's all history from there. Fabulous time. And so I was telling my friend this story, and my friend's like, I love that place. Oh my God, that's my favorite place to go. And I'm thinking, how the hell can you afford a place to go there? But apparently Bullhorn Betty is the only person that doesn't know about the doctor's office. And right? So anyways, I'm really excited. I didn't, when I was out at the beach the last time, I didn't have my bathing suit. Today I'm going to be in a bathing suit. We're going to get that beach bod back. Pickles Toes, it's nice to see you in here, love. If I missed your comments, I'm sorry. When I'm talking about this stuff, it's hard to keep up with the there's the ones. Okay, so I apparently just haven't. Oh, good morning, Jazz King. It's nice to see you. God bless you. Thank you, love. And then we'll go over to. Actually, let me go over to the poll. We got and this poll was for the people that actually watched. Okay, so obviously we got trolls up in here, or people that aren't watching, because I got receipts out the butt about that statement. But 62%. Remember me saying that it should be much higher than that, but that's okay. I'll go back and find the statements, just like we did about the judge. I made determinations 3 months ago about this whole Supreme Court thing. And boy, I mean, outside of the jurisdiction, which we didn't address and should have, but the reason why we didn't address it in all honesty, the reason why I didn't address it is because I truly believe. I surely did. Oh, make sure I got all my stuff together. But we pegged it. I mean, we pegged it. The only thing that we didn't get right is we assumed that the jurisdiction, because of the urgency, was already done, was already in the bag. And that was the one thing we did not discuss when talking about the Supreme Court and the collective media. Everything else, like the freaking opinion from the judge, almost mimicked, literally almost mimicked what the Supreme Court judge said. It's crazy. Crazy. Hold on a second. Let me check something out, guys. I'm sorry. Got something going on here. Give me just a second, guys. I got an issue going on here. When was that? When did you guys send me that? What time? Oh, that was early on. Oh, I deleted that one. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I already deleted that one. Van Lady. Oh, that's another one. Van Lady. I forgot to tell you yesterday, you were one of the ones that I actually. Jesus. I wish these people would just go away. Van Lady. You were one of the people I was talking about when I said I went through here, and I haven't said hi to you in a while. So I just wanted to go over this. This is an article that I found that I thought was really interesting and really kind of explained it to me really well. So grand jury and preliminary hearings play vital roles in our criminal justice system, though both procedures bring about the same result. And that's the other thing. Both procedures bring about the same result. And remember, I told you that it seems to me that like the attorneys I work for would be going for the path of least resistance. If they're going to be getting to the same goal either way, why would you be showing your hand when you don't have to? Well, this is a great example of that. And so it goes through this process that they basically have the same result, a formal criminal charge, and their procedures are incredibly different. A preliminary hearing is open to court proceeding that you have a right to attend with your lawyer, while a grand jury is secret in nature, and nobody knows, as we learn, nobody knows until the indictments, until they're indicted. And then they get the opportunity to have the transcript, and they get the opportunity to see the indictment, and now it's on go. You're going to trial. So there's a few truly understand these procedures and what they actually do, though many believe the police bring charges when they arrest you, but that's not the case. Instead, you're not formally charged until the judge finds probable cause at a preliminary hearing, or you get a true bill back from the grand jury. So what is a preliminary hearing? Many people, and we just heard Sarah kind of explain everything, but just for you, just to see in print, a preliminary hearing, the prosecutor presents evidence, most likely by the way of live testimony from one of the arresting officers, with the goal of showing the judge there is probable cause that a crime was committed and that the defendant committed it. So, is it possible that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk were at this hearing, or do you think that they just left it to the experts and arresting officers? I think in this case, they had Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk there, but until somebody can say they spotted them on campus, spotted them around the community, then, it's possible that they only went by the police officers and what they found and over the evidence they did, and gave reprieve to Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. But for whatever reason, I still believe in my heart, at least at minimum, Dylan Mortensen was there. But that's still conjecture, because we don't know. We really don't know. Probable cause is simply an amount of evidence far less than the proof of beyond a reasonable doubt. Because of the standard of proof is much lower at a preliminary hearing, the rules of evidence are relaxed. Unlike a formal trial, the officer can testify about things he was told by others and did not witness personally. The prosecutor only has to show that a crime might have been committed possibly by you. That's a very, very, very low burden. Though it may seem the cards are stacked against you at a preliminary hearing, you do have rights. Importantly, after the prosecution asks their questions, your lawyer has a right to cross-examine and poke holes in it. Can charges be dropped at a preliminary hearing? In Illinois, preliminary hearings are an important procedure of the criminal case, typically held at a circuit court of the county. But I can tell you, in a preliminary hearing, if there's something that the defense has, they can absolutely preclude information from being admissible in the preliminary hearing that could get the assailant off. So it is possible that charges can, that the case be dismissed because they didn't show probable cause. So the right charges are negotiated if they choose to do so. Ultimately, it's up to the prosecutor to decide if they want to drop charges before taking it to trial. So what is a grand jury indictment? This is the one that's kind of like the standard for capital cases. And this is why I think a lot of the legal professionals were confused as to why they were going with the preliminary hearing. The second way of being formally charged with criminal charges is through a grand jury. Unlike a preliminary hearing, a grand jury proceedings are not conducted in open court. In fact, not even the general public can attend. And they're very secret, and you're only provided a transcript of the proceeding. At the grand jury proceeding, the prosecutor will present evidence by way of testimony to the grand jury. Grand jury consists of at least 16 members of the general public who listen to the testimony and can ask questions if they'd like to determine whether there is probable cause that a crime was committed and that you might have committed it. Might have, may have. That's all they have to do. If it's possible, if there is a scintilla of possibility that you committed that crime, that's the burden that they have to prove. Very low burden, very low burden. So unlike preliminary hearings, grand jury proceedings might involve multiple witnesses that the prosecution subpoenas to come testify. If you receive a grand jury subpoena, you should consult an attorney before appearing, barring the ability to assert your Fifth Amendment privilege and self-incrimination, yada, 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 right? So that's where we're at with that particular situation. Where is this one? This is Nolo. And lastly, before I open up the phones for just a few minutes, we are going to go here and watch this one last video. I think this might be the Chris Coleman. No, it looks like Ashley Banfield.
Girls you were talking to, but did she give details about some of what she's been processing in these 6 months?
Well, between all the different families, I think both girls are talking. They're talking to somebody. One might be talking to me, one might be talking to someone else. So I think we have a good understanding of some of the details that haven't been made public. But we're just holding it close to the chest, and we're making sure that everything goes through the court processes and everybody gets a fair shot and everything is done in the right order to mothers and fathers that really don't have any idea how this should work. We never seen ourselves in this spot, and we're just living one day by day.
There's no playbook, for this. And it's a very exclusive club. I often say very unwelcome, exclusive club that you're a member of, Steve. You are, I don't know where you get the strength and the fortitude, but you were there when Kohberger made that first appearance in January. Are you planning to
There, okay. I'm trying to stop. I hate when it doesn't stop like when I want it to. So, yes. And I have to say this. This is one thing I want to say about the Gonzalez family. I think um, their strength, tenacity, and fortitude in this case, um, it is all inspiring. I can't express that enough about how inspiring their family is. I mean, it truly is. They have the kids, the love. Christy, she's firm but sweet. Like they you can tell that they love their family. They're just very. I can't express. They're just genuine people. Like what you see is what you get with them, and I love that. If anything about anybody, I love that aspect. When I meet people, I love knowing that what you see is what you get, and the acceptance of people, not trying to change people. Everybody, you know, when I first got out here and I was working with MGL, and all these people were coming at me, oh, she's the worst person in the world, you need to quit working with her, trying to demand me to stop doing what I was like. Who, even then, it's frustrating. But nobody understood. Everybody's like, oh, she's so rude, she's this, she's that, and all this other stuff. And it was like, people don't understand. I accept Marissa for who she is. And that's the difference. When you accept somebody for who they are and don't try to change them, and you know who they are, you have a much better relationship with that person. You don't have to agree with everything that they do. That doesn't have anything. What they do has nothing to do with anybody else. That's their decision. But you accept the person for who they are. And when you accept a person for who they are, for their defects and strengths, that is a true friendship, in my opinion. That is a true friendship. And this family, they accept people for who they are. And I tell you what, these people are amazing people. They have the strength. Like, I'm kind of, I understand, like Ethan's family, the Chapin family. I understand their position, but I don't. Like Marissa was bouncing back and forth, very personal issue, and but it's made public, so it's not like I'm disclosing any kind of personal or private information. But Marissa was trying to decide whether she was going to see her mother for her last time, because her family was sitting around her mother's bedside waiting for her mom, to go. That, I can't imagine how excruciating that is. And that being the last visual you have for your family. So that kind of decision is ultra personal. And I watched her go, like, it's nobody else's business whatsoever on YouTube or otherwise. Just because we talk about it doesn't mean you have a right to put your opinion in, but people are just, they whatever. And they attacked her because she was saying, she was having an open discussion about whether she wanted to go see her mom. She's been taking care of her mom. She's seen her mom throughout this whole thing. She watched her mom go from a bright, healthy woman to where she was. And it was very difficult for her. And she was crucified on here for making the decision. She ended up going. It was very hard for her, but it was still her decision to make, and she made her decision. But she was talking about not going and being there when her mom passed away. And a lot of people are like, you're going to regret that, and people can't, you can say that, but being angry at somebody because of a personal decision. And then you've got like the Chapin family that is choosing not to even go and go to these hearings and be a part of them. And I don't know. And then you see the flip side of the Gonzalez family, but mind you, and I whatever their personal decision is, for the Chapin family, obviously, I respect whatever decision. They're the ones suffering. They're the ones having to go through that. This is a personal decision for them, whether or not they go to these trials, whether they not or not they go to these hearings. I would think that the family would want to represent their lost loved one against this animal that they call Brian Koberger. But again, that's a personal decision for them. And while I may not understand it, I do respect it. It's their decision to make. But then you have the flip side and you see the Gonzalez family and how strong and united they are. And God bless them. I have utmost respect for this family and everything that they went through. And they stood the test of time. They stood in the storm. They stood up. They stood up as a family and they fought. They fought hard. And that to me is the most respectable thing and respectful thing that they could ever do. And when I see their family, I just think how much better this world would be if we had so many more families like theirs. Not this situation, not this horrible, ugly situation that threw them into the spotlight, but their love, their commitment, the unity in their family, the fight, the integrity, and they came under massive scrutiny. I mean, Steve Gonzalez on Newsweek or whatever that other station was, where they tried to say he killed his own daughter. I was so disgusted and mortified when I heard that ex-FBI agent on their channel. I have not been back since. I was so highly offended that a news organization of that stature would allow any of their commentators to have come there and disrespected and insult the father of a victim when the man was just begging for answers. That was the most disgusting and despicable thing I think I have ever seen in my life. Far, far worse than anything Bullhorn Betty has or ever will do. And I love this family. I do. Every time I see them, I'm always in awe. I'm always in awe of their support and their strength.
To be there on Monday.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to the message that this family will do everything in its power to make sure that if everything rolls out and we know for a fact with the evidence that this is the person, then he's got pit bulls after him. So we're going to be there at every moment, analyzing every piece of data, going through everything to make sure that it is the right person and we hold them accountable. And that, that kind of pressure has to come from more than just one parent. It has to come from all of us, and that's what we're working.
I agree with that. It needs to be a united front. And right now, you've got the Chapin family not wanting to participate in that united front. But again, personal decision for them. I don't agree with it, but it's not about. I'm not put in this situation. I'm not the one that has lost, my son and my brother. It's an ultra personal situation. So even though I don't understand it, I do respect it. I'm trying to, and I hope that the counterparts on social media, all platforms, don't attack the Chapin family for their very personal decision. While we personally want that united front, again, it's a personal decision. And I just don't really think the Chapin, it just doesn't seem like the Chapin family, it seems like the family itself is distant from the other three. The bottom line is the other three didn't kill their son and their brother. Brian Koberger did that. Being nasty to the other family members, we don't even know if that's going on, just as a, spin of that, we don't know if it's going on. I don't want to speculate otherwise, but if it is, if the family is angry at these girls that also lost their life with their son, that's misplaced anger on the Chapin's behalf. And I hope they're not doing that, because there are 4 victims here. And I'm sorry, but if you kill somebody in my family, me personally, you bet your butt you're going to see my face in your nightmares. Everywhere you turn, you're going to see my face. Everywhere. No different than what the Gonzalez are doing. No different. I haven't talked to some of my friends for 20 years. 20 years. And if anything happens to me, I pity the fool. I really do. I really do. And you know what? I think it's the same way with this family. You know, I tell you what, Mr. Gonzalez, nice guy, sweetest guy in the world. I don't want to be on his S list. That man right there terrifies me. In a good way. In a good way. I wouldn't want to be Brian Koberger and look at that daddy. That's what I'm saying. I may not know a lot. But I know if I was in Brian Koberger's, I would want to make sure that man's on the other side of the courthouse. He is so... I don't know how the family's doing it. They're amazing. They're amazing. I've got nothing bad whatsoever to say about that family. They are just amazing. And then I wanted to show you guys just a couple little other things that I thought were really, really, really sweet that I just wanted to share with you. And that's this. So I can do this. Will it let me? There we go. Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I posted anything, so I wanted to check in. Kaylee and Maddie graduated from U of I on Saturday, then Mother's Day on Sunday. This has been an extremely emotional week for me. I'm trying my best to stay strong for our 4 kids. Kaylee's siblings will be walking on her behalf and accepting her degree. I would have never imagined Kaylee not being able to accept her own degree that she worked so hard for. I will be taking a few days off work to prepare myself for this upcoming weekend. Much love to you all. And there's some beautiful photos. The beautiful face of Kaylee. From the cowboy hat. She was gorgeous. She had a beautiful life ahead of her, all snuffed short. Her and her best friend and her friends. I mean, at the end of the day, she lost her friend. She was just a fun girl. They all were. They all were. So I just wanted to show that. I was going to open up the phone lines, but now that we're at the 2-hour mark, I've got a data plan, guys. I got a data plan. So, and my aunt's coming in, so I've got some things I got to do around the house. And hopefully later today, maybe after lunch, I may go back to the beach. I think after lunch, me and my friend have things. My friend has other things to do, and I have to do some. And I don't really have a whole lot to do this week or this afternoon rather. And so we, during the day, I might come live later this afternoon, like around I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock maybe, and we'll kind of do a recap of anything that's come out throughout the day. I find that, sometimes with us being the coffee club and only having a live first thing in the morning, anything that kind of breaks throughout the day, we're kind of, we're behind in because we don't really report it, all the stuff, until the next morning for our coffee club. So I'm going to start trying to be breaking stuff out. I'm going to be, if you can, one of my mods drop my second channel down here, because quite frankly, the second channel I kind of stepped away from just a little bit. But we're going to start putting, if you guys want to get updated news and stuff like that, I'm going to be starting to put news stories into the other channel, and keeping this channel here designated for our breaking cases and breaking news information related to the cases that we're covering in detail. So we're going to have two different types of channel. One channel's going to be, I'm going to be throwing some videos on here because I got to keep my video algorithm up, because if I stop doing videos on this channel, then when I do post a channel, it just doesn't push out. So you got to consistently be doing videos as well as lives, trying to alternate that just to keep yourself and your pace in the algorithm. So I've also got to start getting that channel ready, because we're going to be doing, as we start traveling around the country again, we're going to start doing our main cases. But while I'm in communities, I'm going to be reaching out to politicians, of course, but I also will be looking in there for like serial killers and unsolved cases and other things that we can kind of discuss or have a video on, or bring awareness to a case or an unsolved or missing person. I'm not sure if I'll be putting that on the main channel. Those would be types of things that would probably go up on that backup channel. And so I just want to make sure that because I know that we have a lot of crime junkies in here. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I love you too. Crime junkies here, if you like those stories, that would be, and maybe would probably do maybe the second channel more of a podcast channel, as opposed to the Bullhorn Betty channel, where we do lives and videos of current and active cases. Maybe that one would be more of the podcast side of things. Maybe we'll start reaching out to different experts and stuff like that, and seeing if we can get some insight on different things, and just kind of having, some interviews about off-topic conversations and stuff like that. But we'll be rolling that stuff out over the next couple of weeks. And I hope you guys do enjoy it. But we're going to continue to work and continue to hammer down. We're starting to get out of the house. We're starting to take control back in our life. I hope you guys are as well. That's really why we're using the language of letting go to help inspire us. I'm trying to find more inspiring messages for you guys in the morning, instead of, like poking message, right? Like
I'm going to say this loud enough for the people in the back. You know when your life's going to change? When you stop running back to the things that God is trying to save you from. When you stop pressing rewind on the things that need to be deleted from your life. When you stop hanging on to the things that you need to let go of. Let me tell you this. Moving on isn't always about knowing where you're going. It's about knowing where you're no longer stand and what you refuse to go back to. Straight up.
I have a question for you. If you woke up this Friday morning and you looked in your bank account and there was $10,080 magically there, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. But the only stipulation is you have to spend it all in 1 week and it'll be gone. And then the following week, you'll get another $10,080 deposited, and so on and so on. You can spend it however you want. Or if you don't spend it, it disappears. Would you spend every cent every week, or would you allow it to be wasted and taken away from you? Well, guys, this Friday, you're going to wake up and there's going to be 10,080 minutes that God has given you for the next week. And you can spend them however you want, or you can simply waste them. Guys, I highly suggest that you spend every minute of next week doing amazing things, and don't allow 1 minute to be squandered, because you never know when God won't deposit another 10,080 minutes in your life, guys. Go out and live a great life.
So we're really trying to, change the messaging, because at the end of the day, I've always said, somebody's opinion of me, somebody's opinion of you doesn't matter. We have to value that person to value their opinion. And a lot of these people's opinions, we don't value, we don't care for, we don't pay attention to. So I hope you guys take that, live your life. I want you guys to do something. I always say go out and do an act of kindness for a perfect stranger. But this next week is not going to be that. I'm going to ask you to go do something embarrassing. Do something embarrassing. Something that's absolutely fun, but embarrassing. What do I mean? Right? What do I mean? Why do you want me to embarrass myself, Betty? I want you to go out and remember and learn again how to dance in the rain. That's what I want you to do. Go out and be crazy. Go out and attract some attention, right? Go out and embarrass yourself. Right? But do it in a fun way. If you're going to embarrass yourself, at least bring a smile to somebody's face. So that's what I want you to do. We're not doing an act of kindness. If you want to do an act of kindness for a perfect stranger, we always promote that here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. But this week, your homework is to learn to dance in the rain. All right, guys, it's been amazing. I love you guys. I am happy that we were able to do this. I know that we had, 5 and 4 hour lives, Tuesday and Wednesday. That's because we had so much information that had been coming in that we haven't had an opportunity to go over and to digest and to explain. And so a lot of that was just catching us all up to where we are. And so it took us about 10 hours to do that. 10 hours. Yep. 10 hours to do all that, to catch ourselves up, because we were down for 5 days, 2 hours a day, right? So now we're kind of caught up. I still have a lot of research. I'm still going through a god-awful mess of documents here. So yeah. And we're kind of caught back up to where we need to be. We've got everything. Now, granted, I haven't checked on which we need to. Oh, before we go, did you guys see Chris McDonough did a video last night on Maddie Kingsbury, and even went further to kind of go through the abuse and whether your person, your boyfriend, your lover, whoever, is capable of killing you, right? I'm appreciative that he put Maddie's name on his title, on his platform. He has almost 200,000 people. I think he's like 40,000 shy of 200,000 people. This was really awesome. I am so thankful that he did it. And not only that, but I like Chris McDonough because, it's kind of funny, you have some doctors out there, okay? And some doctors have the best, amazing bedside manner ever, right? Knowledgeable, sweet, kind, bedside manner. You love them. And then there's other doctors that are smart, do a great job. You want them doing your surgery, but they're a-holes, right? They don't have the good bedside manner. Chris McDonough has that great bedside manner. And while he's talking, like, I'm the kind of person that just kind of tells you, I don't sugarcoat things. I don't talk in a sweet voice. So you guys like me a little better. And oh my gosh, can you believe this? Can you believe that? Because that's not me. I'm a very blunt person in the flesh. I'm a very blunt person. So my messaging to you is, if you're in fear for your life, grab your crap, walk out the door. If he's capable of killing you leaving, he's capable of killing you while you're in your house, while you're in that house dealing with all that stuff. I'd rather be trying to fight for my freedom than knowing what my ending result is without a fight. That's just me, right? So I have a way of saying things. My saying things is I've got brains, I'm knowledgeable, but I don't have that bedside manner, right? I don't have that bedside manner. Chris McDonough has the bedside manner, okay? And I love the way he did this, but more importantly, I love the fact that he had Maddie Kingsbury name on his title. The reason why that's so important to me, because that's putting her name in front of even more people. This is a woman that has not yet been found. She is still out there. They're still doing search parties for her. As a matter of fact, if you are in the area, I'm going to ask you, to sign up for Find Maddie Kingsbury on Facebook and help out with those searches. If you're out there in that area and you want to give back, maybe you feel like you need to bank some good karma points. Reach out to the family, get involved, help them search. Look at maps. Look at, put yourself in a, it's hard to put yourself in a murderer's position, but put yourself in a murderer's position and think about what you would need to do to hide this person. Who would you need to call to help? Where would you need to go to get that? Because the way I'm looking at it is I'm finding out through my back channels that Adam Fravel was actually from Fillmore. Where did he go? He went to Fillmore. So this is an area that he is comfortable with and has knowledge of. So therefore, there may be a place, there may be an old, just like the two people that, remember the guy and the girl that put the baby, it was Oakley Snow case. Remember that? And the boyfriend took this to one of his properties, his grandparents' properties that were abandoned on this big, huge property. And he snuck on there and stuck and put this child in the drawer. We're looking for something like that. It's going to be most likely a situation like that. So the people that are out there that are looking in this case and following this case, we need to find all of Adam's friends. We need to find all of Adam's friends, where he was in Fillmore. We need to get an idea of where he liked hanging out. Where's his favorite fishing hole? We need to know where he was, where his stomping grounds were. We need to find out, does his friends own any dilapidated buildings or properties that he knows about that he would have access to, unfeathered access, and one that has nobody looking at him. These are the types of places that are just popping up and just going off in my head. I'm looking at the side of the road and stuff like that. I'm telling you, Fillmore is flat. It's obvious that if somebody's driving on one of those properties that I saw, you'd be able to see the dirt coming up from the back. Like it would be a noticeable situation there. So this has to be someplace that he went, that he was comfortable with, that was off the beaten path. And the 3.5 hours, it takes 45 minutes to get there, maybe an hour. He had 3.5 hours to do God knows what. She's not just, I don't believe she's just pushed off the side of the road. I'm starting to believe he took extra precaution because he had the time to hide her more obscurely than we know. And it is possible that if she's not above ground, that she's on a property below ground. And he would have had enough time to accomplish either one. And that's what's so scary about this. And I hope he comes forward, and I hope he tells us where she's at. Her family deserves to bury her. She deserves to rest in peace. She was the mother of his kids. And he'll never admit it. He'll never admit what he did. He'll never admit it. He'll go to the gas chambers saying he's innocent. Who else wants to kill her? Who else hates her enough? Who? Maybe a jaded ex-boyfriend that she was leaving? Everything circles around and goes right back to him. Right back to him. So I hope they have justice swiftly, but I kind of believe that we're going to find out this was more in line with strangulation, because I feel, I went over this yesterday, I just feel that if she was bludgeoned, stabbed, or shot, they would have already had him in jail, because they would have already had the preliminary results back for gun spatter rather, and the pool of blood, if there were any in the home. They should be able to identify where but it is possible they may have found a mess of blood, like in the Letitia Stout case. The blood in that room was not made public to the people for a little bit of time. So it is possible that there is a violent scene inside that home that took place that we haven't heard about. So I'm just saying, based on the fact that I believe if there was blood, that it would show that there was a violent act that happened inside that home. Therefore, the only person there at the time they can prove was Adam Fravel. And then, Adam Fravel left the home. She hasn't been seen from again. It just seems like they would have had enough probable cause, that low level. Could he have possibly done it? Yes, he could have. I think right now they still haven't. I think the reason why he hasn't been charged yet is because they still have not declared her deceased. Once she's declared deceased, he will be arrested. But that's got to be the first step. They either have to find her or have substantial evidence that the injuries that she sustained and the blood that was found was not enough to sustain life, that her injuries were too grave to survive. That's the only other way that they're going to have to prove she's dead. And if they can't prove she's dead and they can't find her body, he's not going to be charged. They can't charge him. They have to find substantial evidence that she is no longer with us, that she is really deceased. And so once that does happen, once you hear what I'm telling you, as soon as you hear the breaking news that she has been, they have now officially stated that she's dead, she's deceased, you'll see Adam arrested immediately thereafter that, or he might get arrested and then they say he's dead, that she's dead, no longer with him. But I think it would be more in line with strangulation, because I just truly believe that there was any massive amount of blood in that home, he would already be in jail. And the only thing that outside of poisoning, the only other thing that would not produce blood, because even the bludgeoning, it could produce blood, it could not produce blood. So it's like a 50-50 with the whole, bludgeoning, beating, whatever. But typically when your skull cracks, you sustain lacerations, the bone breaks through the skin, and you're going to have all that blood that comes from your head. So you've got it. I mean, if you really think about it and theorize about this stuff, the only thing that doesn't produce blood is a poisoning and a strangulation. But they will still produce quite a bit of bodily fluid, just not blood. It's more the lines of urination, defecation, those types of bodily fluids that come out, maybe some internal fluids, water and stuff like that, that once your organs, your muscles, once you're dead, your muscles release. You have no muscles. And think about it. I mean, everything that we do is muscle control. So once that muscle control is gone, it's released, and everything that muscle holds in comes out. So, and before we go, I just want to give thanks to this. I want to make sure I give thanks to the people that sponsored this programming today. Jennifer, happy Thursday. Southern Grammy Wolf, Jazz King, good morning. Good to see you. Oh, I forgot to go through it. So Jennifer says, happy Thursday. Southern Granny Wolf gives me a kiss. Jazz King says, good morning. Good to see you today. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern aren't dead. I don't. Thanks for coming, the newest member of the coffee club. I'm going to have a hard time. I'll be struggling with that name. Van Lady throws a cup of coffee. Bullhorn Betty's way. Jennifer and her unicorn, followed by Jennifer. Have a good day, guys. Love you, Andra and friends. Again, guys, thank you so much for your love and continued support here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We're going to go ahead and sign off now, but I did want to let you know that you guys are amazing, and we have had an amazing week going over this case. I'm glad we're finally starting to get some information back on the Brian Kohberger case. I'm glad we're able to start talking. I'm glad we know how. I mean, they have a massive amount of evidence, 51 terabytes of audio and visual recordings. They have over 10,000 documents, over 10,000 photos, hundreds of just thousands upon thousands of tips, not even including the affidavits, the other things. I mean, you're talking about a massive amount of information. And this case is going to be one of the biggest, in my opinion. This case is going to be bigger than Gabby Petito. This is going to be one of those cases that are going to, for our generation, that are going to make history. And I truly believe that this is a horrible, horrible case. But just like any other, serial killer type cases, I truly believe that this one is going to rise to the top. And it is just sad, this whole case, but it's fascinating. And that is what's grabbing the attention around the world, the fascination of this case. All right, guys, well, you go make it a great day. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. And don't forget, go embarrass yourself.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.